Epic truth and share. Folks, can't make any of this up. Union or die. This slogan fits entirely with where Canada is today and going to be before the end of this week if Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada, does what many conservative insiders, liberal insiders, in fact, foreign property owners in Canada have published. I've got mining executive CEOs. I've got energy executive CEOs. I've got lots and lots of folks with massive publications. Can't make this up. Mark Carney has already gone on now, today, in hindsight, almost like I made that post. And also now Carney's scrambling. Well, there's going to be some pain. Folks, this week, starting October 26th, Beijing International Conference, where Donald Trump's going to be, as well as most of the Asian third and second world, Communist China's sphere of influence. Folks, Mark Carney's going there. He's already drawn up a plan. And I have all the details of that plan, province by province. And you all need to hear it. You all need to know. This is an epic truth, an epic share, undeniable. Prime Minister Mark Carney, with his elbows tucked into his sides, his buttocks firmly in the air, pants down around his ankles, going, come on, come on. Let's start west. Let's start west. British Columbia, you will, under this deal, eat the pain. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's just going to be massive, massive trade embargoes. What are trade embargoes? That's when your market for your goods is restricted from you. And folks, that market, softwood lumber, that entire market, cabinets, all of it, under Mark Carney's deal to Trump, his giveaways, is that we'll allow you and your entire lumber industry to set the new supersized quotas. Oh yeah, this is the new bar of how much softwood you can sell in the United States. Way down here. We're going to give you that. You set your quotas, your supersized trade embargoes. If Canadians can't sell that lumber, they'll have to find new markets, which Carney's in Beijing to try to negotiate in the second and third world and with Communist China. Like, this is going to scare Donald J. Trump. Let's jump over to Alberta. The good news and the bad news. Here's Mark Carney's biggest selling feature to win back all the Albertans. We're going to build Keystone XL pipeline, Donald J. Trump. We're not only going to build it, the rest of the Alberta side that's almost all done. Albertans lost a tremendous amount of money. They financed heavily, provincially, lost it all. In fact, they're in court with your government right now. Not that they're going to win, but they're there for billions and billions of dollars lost from the Alberta taxpayer. But Carney has a solution. They're going to build Keystone XL. They're going to approve that. 800,000 barrels to USA. And they're going to pay for the expansion into the USA. Americans don't have to pay. Mark Carney's going to make sure Canadian taxpayers pay for all of it. Don't worry. You know, like the wall in Mexico, and the Mexicans have to build it. You know, midterms coming. This will be a great win for the United States of America, right? Albertans are going to be so happy, and Canadians are going to shoulder the rest of the cost for that government-owned pipeline, just like, Trans Mountain to China, right? Completely government-owned, First Nations, right to China. Trump? Maybe he'll take it. It's 15% increase in oil to the United States. Would Trump take it with the differential? Maybe. I got to be honest here, folks. Maybe. I'm a little nervous about that meeting. But let's go on to the other giveaways. Saskatchewan, neither here nor there. They don't win anything. They've already got their nation-building China products. Saskatchewan, no effect. No effect on Saskatchewan, none whatsoever. Manitoba, there's a effect. There's an administrative effect in universal health care and pharma that does serious damage, as Carney's going to say, okay, on the pharma tariffs are coming. Yeah, you got me, Trump. And you're building all those farm industries in the States. Yeah, bad news, Manitoba. Bad news for you and the rest of Canada. I know Canadians don't know this, but your prized universal health care is a provincial model, a regional model. Sure, there's federal health transfers federal government has to do, but largely it's provincially run, and it's a district model. It's a district model. The only district model outside of MPs and provincial MLAs or Quebec MNAs. Other than that, that is the only real district model Canada has. USA has many, many district models. That's not one of them. That's one thing about Canada that is absolutely should entirely be American, but that is going to be affected tremendously because Canadians don't know they run an American-style system called universal health care at the district model run by the provinces. It's very effective. So that's tripped when you hit Winnipeg specifically and all those industries. That's a killer. That's a killer for all of Canada. Hammer blow to Manitoba. 1.1 million people, small population, but it's damaging to their industries. After Manitoba, we hit Ontario. Goodbye, automotives. Carney's got to sign that off too. Sorry, everybody. This is part of the pain. You can say goodbye to your automotive sector. Ford, GM, all of that. It's just going to continue eroding. They're going to eat those tariffs that are in place. Bye. Now, Ontario, steel, some aluminum, copper. You're hit tremendously bad right now. Carney's saying for that gift of the pipeline, you're going to end all tariffs. Sounds like a good deal, or greatly reduce them. Sounds like great, right? Uh-oh, we're getting tremendous trade embargoes. Carney agrees to allow the USA to greatly reduce the caps, meaning take the ceiling of what we can sell down to here, and USA can move that and continue to move that as they find elsewhere. As you should already all know, Trump got his deal to replace Canada, all rare earth minerals and metals from Australia. Buy Canada, buy Ontario for at least USA. Actually, there's Western provinces there too. Not that it mattered. Outside of Saskatchewan, which still remains in place for highly enriched uranium to USA, all other rare earth minerals and metals in the Western provinces are via rail to China, out to boats in the Pacific or out the Atlantic, going to China and Yixing already. Not USA. So USA says, okay, well, we made a deal with Australia, even though Mark Carney's going to say, yeah, and we're not going to bind you to any rare earth mineral metals. Well, Trump doesn't need to, but just be prepared, Ontario. That's you. What you were trading is gone anyway today. Pharma smashed Ontario. Ontario's got tremendous amounts of pharma and universal health care, equipment, materials, everything else, drugs, all of it. Gonzo hammered from the States, everything in massive export to the States, refined and combined in Ontario, is going to lose its change. And that I just went through is Manitoba. That's all gone. Now we jump over to Quebec. Say goodbye to your pharma, Quebec. All of that, which you do like no other province in Canada, to tie all equipment, rare equipments, rare technology, many high-tech combinations to get the generic drugs finished in Ontario, all of that key elements and stuff. Goodbye, it's gone because you're going to lose the USA market. With the massive quotas, you have to now steel, aluminum, copper, which Quebec is massive for aluminum, everybody. You have to find somewhere else to go in the world. Again, this is Mark Carney's plan. So he's going to jump up and Canadians go, yay, we lost tariffs, but we got massive reduction in our ceilings on quotas, meaning you don't have any trade there anymore at this level, and it will continue to go down, 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 and you have to find replacements because USA won't be taking it. Trade embargo versus currently tariffs, which are sanctions. This is Mark Carney's hopeful deal to stop a snap election and losing Canadian support. This is why this video is so important. Canadians, you're going to lose all American attachments in your industries. I know I'm a Boilermaker, international Boilermaker. Outside of nuclear, soon to be in the next 3 to 5 years, there will not be any of these private industries available to me that were available before as an American international through the USA, because those largely won't exist in Canada anymore. This goes for all kinds of private sector American union people, obviously the automotive workers, obviously with trucks. That was the other thing, trucks and transport vehicles. We're going to lose all of that. Teamsters, goes on and on. Every trade union, many associations, non-union alike, many Canadian working class are going to lose all of that, and the source of your private sector pensions as they're gone. Mark Carney's plan, that if Donald J. Trump doesn't accept this, to move on with Northern Gateway to China to smite USA. Northern Gateway to lead upwards of 6 million barrels a day when they get up to full capacity over the next 5 to 7 years, to drain Alberta oil sands, northern BC, Saskatchewan to southern Manitoba of all fossil fuels before 2050. That's really the outcome Mark Carney wants anyway, and absolutely all your premiers. This is the Conservative Party of Canada. This is entirely the Liberal Party of Canada. It's entirely every premier in Canada and all provincial parties in Canada. Now the question is, and I'm going to tell you guys everything on analysis, will Donald J. Trump accept the deal? He may, because he has USMCA coming next year anyway, though it's post-midterms. He may reject it as he doesn't want to upset his tariff regime, the sanctions on Canada. Or he might not because of that, but he might because it's a win on the pipeline and Canada's going to pay for it. Like Mexico on the wall. This is Mark Carney saying, you can spin it like that, Trump. You'll get a big win from all Americans and steel aluminum. You guys can transition later. Just help me through November to get reelected and con all Canadians into this, even though we're going to destroy all these private sector industries. I know you are, but I want to transition to China. myself, all my first ministers have all lockstep agreed to this. We've got so much growth in China at the expense of all Canadians. They don't know any better. They're too dumb. All the provinces are expanding, elbows up to do all these projects. You let me this win. I know you don't like our system. You don't like all the foreign ownership of land. You don't like the Great Wall of Canada. This is Republican and Democrat, at least Congress and Senate. We've read the reports. We know it's 72% of American elected officials. We know it's Republicans and Democrats, but please, Donald J. Trump, make Marco Rubio settle down. Don't push this with a coming opening government in just another week or so time. You're locked out right now. Take this win. Take this deal. But then there's Donald J. Trump going, well, if I don't, I can really smash Carney. It's going to destabilize Canada even more. They're going to probably have a snap election. You're going to have a stupider man in there. More gullible Canadians. But the money for Americans at tax time, April 15th, when the tariff kiddies come in, because the more sanctions Canadians put on, the higher the tariffs go in these industries. Trump can keep cashing out billions upon billions of dollars and send that back to all Americans, all affected global tariff peoples and farming and other industries. Trump has a win either way in this presentation. I think it's a weak presentation by Mark Carney, but folks, if Trump does reject it, here's the other side of the analysis. Mark Carney gets to go on a pulpit and say, see Albertans, elbows up. Donald J. Trump rejected the offer. Even if Canada builds Keystone XL, he said, no way. And I believe in majority, those conservative calling themselves Albertans will go elbows up and say, Northern Gateway to China. And with his Beijing meeting to follow those 3 days, Carney will come back and say, yes, Danielle Smith, win for Danielle Smith. We're going to build the new Northern Gateway to China expansion against the United States of America. Trump made us do this. See, he's the bad guy. We have to become communist Chinese. We have to go the direction I've published since 2011 as Canadian Governor of the Bank of Canada, where I instructed all Crown corporations, all foreign owners of land and largest companies in Canada, free ride against the United States of America with full subsidies from all the Canadian subjects and Indian Act savages as we've stolen from them. See, it's Donald J. Trump's fault, not us. We're the good guys. See, everybody, we have to transition to China. And I'm sorry, but all conservatives and liberals in a clear majority outside of this minority that needs to go mainstream is going to understand. The Canadian subjects are cuckolded from the far right to the far left and everything in between. At the federal and absolutely entirely in every provincial spectrum, right to left, does not matter. All those elected today, yesterday, and all those to come will always go on these initiatives. I'm the crown. I'm superior. If I can't exist having subjects and slaves on the Lord's land, and I'm the Lord, I'm the superior human being, I would rather be communist because I'll still have the central government and no one can come after me for the massive human rights violations, fraud, theft, embezzlement, trafficking, laundering, the list goes on and on and on. America knows in a 72% majority, mostly Republican, but a heck of a lot of Democrats. And I'm sorry, Canadians, This is the end of you. Your private pensions are now entirely, absolutely at risk and will be gone. Will be gone in under, I would say, 6 to at very maximum 10 years' time. You will get a notice like I did some years ago in, of all sectors, dairy, where I was told after a 5-year court battle, here's your $2 from your pension plan. Thanks for all your years' service, sucker. Welcome to the guaranteed basic income retirement. This is where we're heading. All working Canadians who did not rely on old age security welfare, not to be confused with old age security in the United States. That is a single government one-tier pension plan. The more you work, the more you earn. To maximize upwards, their only government pension plan for working Americans, $2,400 and change USD a year. Canadians in perspective, your old age security is a joke, and it's in CAD. Not even worth 23% of that. It's welfare. To subsidize those who've never worked, those who've never contributed, or those who barely worked, were on the tit, or contracted, never built even an own pension plan, or blew it all before retirement and want to stay on it. Then there's the low degenerate CPP that's half as much as the USD private pension plan old age security for all working Americans. A minimum wage earner in the United States working 42 years will have more than a max contributed lifetime construction worker who never skipped a beat for his family, worked till 65. The American minimum wage earner will have more old age security by almost 2 than that maximized construction worker of 1,300 and change. But now there's a tier 2 and tier 3 to get you up to maybe $1,475 a year. CAD, dummy. And you're not eligible for old age security, stupid. You work to pay them. And if you were one of those guys like myself who has private pension plans in several sectors, there's substantially more than that, you don't qualify for any of that. And if you collect it, you get taxed out of it. It's just like employment insurance. Oh, sure, they tax you 10%. But if you worked, well, before you were laid off, and then when you go to do your taxes, you're going to be paying 40% on that EI. That's going to happen to your old age security and your CPP too. So those 13 and any kind of top up, or 14, the 13s will get topped up to whatever the new CPP 2-3. Like I said, we're 4-tier pension plan for 4 classes of subjects in Canada. First, second, third, Savage Indian class. Oh yeah, that's how Canada works. And that's your retirement. But Canadians have never bothered to look at the United States. That's called a viable social program based on the minimum cost and standard of living versus a government assigned equity of what you're to be worth and what you're to live on. And if the government can't commit to the OAS, hell, they'll just reduce it. And if you don't like it, join the MAID program, dummy. Join the MAID program. If you can't live, can't eat, can't take care of yourself, can't live on the street, and you don't want to die out there, join the MAID program. That's not easy. Welcome to China. If you don't think this is exactly how China's geared for, you're wrong. You have a digital ID social credit rating. And in China, if you F up, or you don't contribute to these things, or you want to go it your own way, you lower your standing too low, they boot you off the system. You're not eligible for nothing. You die on the street, or you take the MAID program. China. Don't worry, there's no religion there. You won't have to worry about Muslims there. All these Canadians. You won't have to worry about Muslims and Hindus and all the rest of the religions. Sikhs. We can go through a whole pile. You pick one. You won't have to worry about any of those. You won't even have to worry about Christian values or Christianity and communism. You won't. You won't have to worry about it. That's where Mark Carney wants us. That's where they're taking us. So all Canadians, if you don't know, after what's called the boomer generation, there's me, Generation X. And you know what? We were raised and taught in school, oh, China, good. When I was in junior high, that age of 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, my social studies was, we didn't learn nothing about America. We just knew we were told America bad. America bad. America's bad. Capitalists bad. They don't care about their people. They kill their people. Didn't tell us anything about viable social programs you get to work towards. Never told us anything about that. Told us America bad. But we were taught in this social studies all about China. Military free enterprise, super zooming economy. I can tell you in Alberta, Canada, in a Catholic school, that's what I was taught. Grade 7 to grade 9. That was ingrained in my head. I had to pass tests. China, military free enterprise. Good system like Canada. A mixed economy of government and private. Beautiful, just like China. Beautiful. Not the big bad boogeyman. China, good. All the people have this, have that. But then you look at the age outcomes. You looked at their second world status as an adult many years after, and you realize I was being programmed in Alberta under 40 years of conservative government. My conservative government was programming me and everybody else I went to school with in my generation. I don't even know what my kids probably went through, to tell you the truth. Knowing what I know now, what I've learned in the last 10 years, if I could go back in time, I would have been watching everything they were learning in social studies. I would have. But these are truths for all Canadians and Americans. Maybe some of you can dig deep and admit these truths. Those are the truths I learned. In a very conservative, always conservative, never any other party, federal and provincial riding. Rural Alberta, Catholic school raised. That's how I was taught, tested, and needed to pass. And that's what I believed, like a lot of people for many, many years. It's all a lie. All a lie. Just like today, Mark Carney is nothing but a filthy liar who is going to destroy all the Canadian people. Many of the second class, there's only enough lifeboats for those on the government's program or companies in the government's matrix. If you're private or you're working and you're in that American export industry, which is 72% of the second class, you're gone, bozo. And then they're going to tell you, like COVID, we're going to bail you out, subsidize, issue you loans, make the transit. Oh, we got these new trade agreements with second, third world countries, thousands of boat miles away with no infrastructure or way to get there. You got to use the government train, government boating under China's umbrella. Not USA. We can't USA anymore. You got to get that out of your head. There's going to be pain. You're going to borrow, you're going to debt load, you might lose your business, but hey, just go bankrupt, put it all on the taxpayers. That third class who absolutely has no lifeboats. You people, you, the low, degenerate working class, worked your whole life, some of you, some of us in our last decade and a bit before retirement, and you're like, I just worked 30-some years, and you're going to do me like this? You're going to do me like this? And everybody I know, whether they know it or not, and I know everybody. We try to educate them. No, elbows up. Shut up. It doesn't matter, conservative, liberal, it don't matter what it is. They're all on this goofball train. A promise of a pipeline here or a promise of a pipeline there. All the West will be, hey, herp, hooray. Right? Who cares? We're going to go with China. And I promise you yet, USMCA, we will be smashed no matter the outcome on the 26th. I'm praying with all my heart that Donald J. Trump does shut him down. I'm praying with all my heart Mark Carney goes with the Northern Gateway to China, because you know what? Then America's going to act, and it's going to be partisan. 72% House and Senate, and you'll see that government fire up. You'll see all of a sudden magically, oh, they're not locked out anymore. Well, they're getting legislation done. As I had a good talk with Benjamin Ebley tonight, when Americans need in their government to come together, well, they're Americans again. They have all the rhetoric to win elections. They're this, they're that. But they sure know how to come together when it matters for the security in the nation of America, just like all the other Americans. Because it's quality of the person, even in their back and forths when they need to. Just like I looked at that legislation in 2022. Me and Ben sat on that for a year and a half and then had forgotten all about it until Ben resurfaced it. And it's amazing. Then I go into, wow, it did pass under a different name, led by Mark Rubio, and they got it done. And look, Canada smash, Canada smash, Canada garbage, Canada transitioning to China, security threat, hello, we need to move away from Canada. Partisan 72%. That should scare the living shit right out of every Canadian. I'm sorry I swore. I know a lot of people won't share over that, and that's too bad. But this stuff is major, everybody. This is point critical in whatever transition. It's the death of all of us as we know it. Everything you've put away in security and safety nets that you've worked for as a working Canadian, you can kiss goodbye. Whatever the outcome on the 26th, let's hope Donald Trump rejects it, because we still have the hope of Canada, the 51st state, manifesting in the people's mind. I'm praying for it, but I gotta admit, it's really 50-50 at this point, folks. 50-50. That is a win for Trump and all his objectives outside of tariffs on Canada's core industries. I don't know. They're worth about the same amount. It's a tough one. It's a real tough one. It's all about geopolitics and national security. And I believe that the scale tips in the favor of Trump rejecting it, even Keystone XL. And then Mark Carney in his Beijing trip. Okay, Danielle Smith, just before a snap election possibility, he comes out with Keystone XL to China, Northern Gateway to China, and he's back in the saddle, and this is going to be the moment that USA has to dig deep with the military strategically placed in all those northern states, in those cities. Get ready for the war on Canada coming. That's prep for what a Canada-U.S. conflict would be. Welcome to 1812, literally. And this time, it's, I'm ending all these U.S.-UK treaties. I'm President of the United States. I won the Supreme Court. We're going to see that too. And if he wins that in the Supreme Court that he personally is going to sit for, in an event like that, and he ends the treaties, that means he's going to win that one too. As I already know that that is the Constitution. I know that for a fact. And he absolutely can unilaterally end any international treaty as president. You don't need House and Congress for that. In that event, America's going to have to decide what are they going to do with their new state border and boundaries. And people say never. People don't understand statehood, that most states of the Union never ever came about in any kind of capacity of their original dimensions. Outside of the 13, and even them, there's key changes and wars that change that. But everything else of the Union post the 13 absolutely never entered statehood in their original boundaries and borders. None of them. There's 50 of them, folks. 50 minus 13. You do the math. What are the percentage chances that Canada's going to remain as it is. If you take the hard road, if you take the path of the elbows up, Mark Carney, and maybe that's what it is. I understand the district model, and I urge Canadians to start studying the many onion layers of the complex United States of America, the world machine, and the beauty of the district models in all their entirety. There's very many. It's sad I did those lives. They've disappeared. There's a few out there. People had posted to YouTube. I'm lucky. Not all of them, not entirely. It's a tough presentation to go back and do again, which is sad. But America is beautiful. And understanding that and understanding what we could have as Canadians, enjoying them in that success, and that viable social programs are we the people's strength, not government engineered socialism that only benefits them at your tremendous expense. Your lower standard of living, you're always behind the 8-ball. Folks, share this video. The destruction of Canada is coming very quickly in absolute focus and zoom. October 26th, Beijing. We're going to see the results. There are surfacing publications. Old Carnage Carney starting to go, well, there's going to be pain. Yeah, pain for some pretty serious provinces all around. And it's incredible. It's insane. It's a panic crown, last-ditch effort. But yet at the same token, it's everything the architect and engineer, the communist Mark Carney, has always wanted and championed. Remember, there are two parties always in power in Canada. They are known as Liberal and Liberal Conservative. They've never changed. Liberal certainly never changed its name. Liberal Conservative, Progressive Conservative, Conservative Party of Canada. It's all one monster with its original registration all the way back to the beginning. Wake up, Canadians. Wake up. An imposed colony system, as it's always been, always will be, at your tremendous expense. And this time, none of us, under boom or down, is going to survive this or know any future of any past we ever had. That's gone. You can get all that out of your mind. Share. Get this powerful video out there. I wish I spoke French. I'm going to do more videos as I'm learning this Quebec in its entirety. I have lots to share, but I don't want to convolute that in this video. I'm just very sad. Now I don't speak French. I would love to do this in both languages, because Canadians, you don't know the propaganda Quebec's fed with. I hear it. I thought Ontario was really bad for the propaganda, and I mean led by largely Doug Ford. The Liberals and the Conservative Party of Canada don't even have to propagate in Ontario, because Doug Ford does a really good job of it for the Crown. But here in Quebec, they are targeted. I listen to the stations here. I hear it, and it's amazing. I think this is the longest duration already I've spent in Quebec, more at a good full-time rate, outside of trying to do all these initiatives where I can sit back and listen in the mornings after work, and I'm just like, is this what they're doing to the Québécois? Is this what they're telling them? This is so evil. I wish I spoke French. I really do. And we'll see. I don't know about jobs. I'll do this 2-week job. Maybe there'll be some ins in some of the industry here. And maybe spending a year here would be great amongst all the French, like I am every day of my life, where outside of one or two people on site, I'm the only English speaking. So you get all that French hammered at you. And I could imagine a year where it's an entire French crew and I'm there having to live and listen to it, and maybe taking a French course, and maybe inside of a year I could learn French. I don't know. I'm very weak. My my skill sets are not there. I know I'm below average, which has always been the case. There's some people who are great at languages. I'm not one of them. And I've had Quebecois, but I like what the Quebecois say here. Oh, yeah, no, that's true. But if you're amongst the French full-time or large parts of your weeks and you are not exposed to English, you're going to learn it. You're going to learn it. And if I took a course, maybe I could make those videos inside of a year. Maybe that would be a great thing, but I don't know. We're just at such point critical, folks. This video has to be shared. It's got to get out there. Every Canadian needs to know. There's damage for all of you, irreparable damage. It's beyond union, non-union. It's beyond Conservative, Liberal, NDP, Bloc, Green, and every provincial party. This is you, the working Canadian. You, the first person. All these things that government gives to you or supplies you think and you just accept as that'll never change. That's rapidly going to change. Without the United States in the same capacity, all of that radically changes. And the more you work, the worse it's going to be for you. That's my video. Share, share, share. Get it out there. This needs to get out there. It's real. And mark my words, 26, you're going to see all these things I said were in fact true. 100% true. God bless. Bye now. Share, share, share. Get it out there. Amen.